Christina Delmont-Small. I am speaking as an individual board member. I am not representing the board, but I may also be speaking for my distinguished colleague who's in the front seat as well. So I just wanted to provide...
Welcome.
Pardon?
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's
Good
nice to see you this evening.
Nice to see you all as well. So
Thank you guys for coming.
You're very welcome. I'm going to provide a little bit of reality, which is in the 2019 feasibility study. One of the amazing things we have in there is what our projections are going to be. And just to give you an idea of the number of, I'm going to talk to you about the number of seats available and what our projections are telling us. So for 19 to 20, we're looking at, for elementary schools, we'll have 302 seats available. For middle school, we'll be down by 364. High school.
You mean as in minus?
Minus.
We won't have enough.
Correct.
Seats
This is countywide, so I'm just giving you the whole
but we won't have
county
enough
picture.
seats for
Correct.
364 middle school
Right,
kids.
and
Okay.
the high school will be down negative 832. Okay, it gets worse. Hold it. Hate to tell you. So in 2021, we're going to be down 35 seats, negative 35 in elementary, negative 558 in middle school, and negative 1089 in high school. Moving on to 2022-23, we're going to be to negative 347 in elementary, negative 694 in middle, and negative 1804 in the high school. In 23-24, we're going to be down to negative 694 in elementary, negative 569 in middle school, and negative 328 in high school. But what's interesting is that negative 328 number for the high school includes the Hammond addition of 200 and the high school 13 of 1658. So as much as everybody, we do use redistricting as a tool, we are going to get to a point where we can't redistrict ourselves out of the students coming. So that is one perspective I wanted to let you know, because a lot of times people say, well, just move, you know what I'm saying? If you have seats somewhere, just put the
Right,
kids in them. But
right.
we're going to get to a point where we don't have the seats. And as we all know, the funding is the other piece of it.
Right.
Having the land to build the schools is another piece of it. I will say that on our capital planning side, when they are building schools now, they are looking to make sure that we can add additions to them. But then again, you need land with a footprint that's going to be large enough to do that. So I think what we're seeing is we're coming to a point in the county where, again, we have to change our thinking and look at out-of-the-box thinking as to how are we going to proceed moving forward. Because I think that is where things are going to start to meet each other. Because at some point, we don't have the dollars, and we use the relocatables, which are supposed to be a short term, but they have definitely become a medium and a long-term solution, which no one loves. But going back to the reality, we're going to have to figure this out. And I'm looking forward to the increased cooperation between the board and yourselves as we move forward and start to think of, even though we do provide you a 10-year plan, to really look at different ways, I think, of how we do this. And again, as I said, I'm only speaking as one member of the board.
Well, and for those of you who don't know, the school board and the county council are meeting next week together as both full bodies to discuss some of these issues. And I think maybe in advance we should give you the allocation chart, so you can, maybe this is our first opportunity to start looking at projections and allocations together so that we can start that planning that we keep talking about that doesn't seem to, that seems to go parallel rather than together. So,
well, and it might be beneficial, since we already have it on the work session for Friday, for board members who can attend to discuss the legislation there.
yeah, that would be great if you all could come.
Yeah, so we'll send out invitations later.
That would be lovely.
Got a quick question.
Oh, yes, Mr. Jones?
Earlier tonight, someone mentioned building more schools as a tool in addition to temporary redistricting, hopefully getting portables down to 0. Would you mind giving us your thoughts?
Well, I would love to build more schools,
Great.
but I need two things. I need land and I need money.
Right.
So,
But okay.
Really?
I know. And I
Okay,
also-
how much land and how much money, Ms. Delmont-Small?
as much money as possible and as much land.
This is
as
why I had
possible.
long
But I will say there is there would be an asterisk, which would be to have the land in the areas where we need the schools. I think if you, and I've said to people, if you would look at where our schools are placed and where our population centers are, 2 and 2 doesn't equal 4. I think as a county, we have not, I mean, well, when you look at Plan Howard, we don't even talk about leaving areas to place schools. So, we all are sitting here at this point in time, and the county, and that's the other challenge we have. We are the fastest growing county
In the state of Maryland.
in the state of Maryland, and which is fabulous, but there has to be that infrastructure. And as we all know, one of the places you begin to see it is in the schools. So,
Really fast. What are your thoughts on population of a school? So, for instance, I'm looking at the high schools. I went to high school in Prince George's County, 4A school. We had about 2,500 students. I know that I don't know if there's a limit per se, but I'm noticing that the numbers stop at a certain, what would you say about a 2,000 student high school with the infrastructure there, the floors or the square footage or whatever? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
well, I mean, part of that is a community decision as well. Just to say, in Howard County, we tend not to build as massive high schools as other jurisdictions do. We're changing as a county. The challenge that both we have and you have on the funding side is you don't want to overbuild, but you don't want to underbuild. So it's that careful balance between the two, because if we have resources, we want to use scarce resources as best as we possibly can, which I think leads us to look at P3 partnerships and also makes us look at flexible buildings. Where I grew up north, my middle school and my high school were physically attached. So when there were population changes, you didn't have to build another school. You were able to borrow from each other, and you didn't need a big auditorium in both. So there were some economies of scale, so to speak. So there are different things to do. I think if done well, I would assume that a larger school would be fine, but you would have to look at what that would mean and what that would look like. And another idea is creating, some jurisdictions have magnet schools, which is something we don't do here in Howard County. So again, I think this goes back to the conversations that we're beginning to have, both ourselves and with your body, as to what should education look like in Howard County moving forward, and how can we continue to give an amazing education to every student and meet every student's needs, meet them where they are to bring them where they need to be, but also with that physical building piece as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.